what would it take you to play like a straightforward villain? Because even though you've played so many anti-heroes over the course of your career, I don't think I've ever seen you play a full-blown villain before.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because what's interesting about the Valiant Universe is that there are storylines in which Bloodshot is the villain. If you look at it from the Harbinger's perspective, and that's one of the things that's cool and dynamic about it. So you might be ahead of everyone else, and I haven't played a lot of villains, but you might be ahead of, and I remember Steven Spielberg wanted me to play a villain, and
Really?
Universal shut that down. Sorry, I'm telling you too much. But you might be ahead of everyone in that you're talking about Bloodshot, and you talk about your skepticism going into the movie and how delighted you were leaving. That character is rich enough, and in the Valiant Universe, there are storylines in which he is the villain, and that's kind of one of the reasons why this character was so dynamic for me, because of the potential to actually go.
I like the sound of that. I also like what a force you are in the industry, because I also covered The Last Witch Hunter pretty heavily, and I adored that experience and your passion for the project. So as someone who never ever stops, how do you overcome when something doesn't pan out the way you hoped and forge forward and winds up with more fast movies and also Bloodshot now?
Such a good question. Such a good question. And I will say, just recently, I came to the realization that, in so often we're so consumed, or we buy into the kind of the studio objective of box office. And when A Last Witch Hunter comes out and it doesn't destroy the box office, you, under the old thinking, would go, well, maybe I should focus on something else. But nowadays, what's fascinating is that movies find you somehow. And no one saw Find Me Guilty in the theater, but it will find you. And as an artist, I'm the more experienced I get, the more I am appreciating just the fact that my work somehow finds you, and that you get to experience it at your own time and at your own pace. And I'm less concerned, and maybe it's because of accolades, maybe it's because I'm a part of Avengers, I'm a part of Disney, I'm a part of Guardians, and I'm a part of Fast, and I've had so much of that wonderful experience that I think the higher thinking becomes, when people tell me that they love The Witch Hunter and they want to see Michael Caine and I go and do another one, I go, wow, and then Lionsgate is coming and saying we're putting a writer on for the next one. That's kind of cool. And so if you were, a testament to that is if you were so concerned with just the box office and not delivering something that you feel proud of or that you want to share, just your reaction alone to Bloodshot makes me want to share it with him, her, all of them, right? The whole world. But if you were just solely thinking about box office, you wouldn't release Bloodshot right now in this store. Only way to put it is that a soldier doesn't decide when and where he's deployed. And therein lies the spirit of who Bloodshot is. That's kind of the rationale of being almost crazy and saying, no, we need movies. And so and this is just recent, by the way, but it's funny that you mentioned Last Witch Hunter, because I'm in a meeting with Lionsgate and they're actively creating the sequel of Last Witch Hunter, but that's like it didn't do gazillions of dollars. It didn't, and so it's one of those things that with that maturity and that kind of being so much in this business and doing what you've said, keep pushing forward. And I'm not, whether I succeed or not, I'm no longer interested in making movies. I solely am trying to make a masterpiece each and every time.